Hi, my name is Jason Anderson, host of The Audio Files. The Audio Files is a show dedicated to car audio enthusiasts and installers from around the country. Our focus is going to be teaching you tips and tricks to building some of those custom installs that you see in magazines and on television shows. This is our first episode, so stay tuned. You're going to be impressed. Let's get started. Today on The Audio Files, we're going to be showing you how to mold an iPad mini into the dash of our 2004 F-150. Now, this installation is going to be pretty straightforward, but in order to make it complete, we're going to be installing a Sony GS600BT head unit. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's so special about a single-DIN AM/FM CD player and hooking up an iPad to it? Well, two words: app remote. The app remote is an application built by Sony to control units that offer that app remote feature. Now, we can control radio stations, we can control Pandora, we can even add applications into the application itself for Facebook, Gmail, anything that you would like, videos, sky's the limit. This application has really stepped it up. For years, manufacturers for aftermarket head units, CD players, have been kind of lacking in comparison to the new tablets and the smartphones that are on the market. Well, this Sony unit has stepped it up and answered the challenge of a lot of people out in the industry. So with this radio, we're going to have two-way control. The radio can control the tablet can control the radio. Now really what makes this unit so perfect for the iPad in this installation is we don't physically have to see this unit. We don't have to have access to it. The only time you would ever need access to it is to add a CD. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this thing laid out, we're going to get it started, we're going to check our tolerances in the vehicle, and we're going to get this thing done. One of the first steps when molding in any type of component, whether it be an iPad, a double-DIN radio, another type of tablet, is to make sure that we have enough room. So one of the first steps that we're going to do is we're going to be removing all of the factory equipment, the radio, the AC controls. We're going to add something a little bit extra for the customer. We're going to be moving over the cigarette lighter to this location. And in this location here, we're going to be adding an Apple logo. It's going to be lit from behind. The color is going to be white, so it'll match the Apple branding. The iPad that's going to be going in here is going to fit right almost exactly in the factory location where the factory radio is. The Sony radio is actually going to be set a few inches back behind this panel. So after once we've started and finished, this wood grain finish is no longer going to be here. It's going to be this gray color that you see up here. So we're going to paint to match everything all at the same time. We're going to have that lighted logo down here. It's going to look awesome when it's all finished. Now we're getting ready to fiberglass our iPad, and we're going to create this mount. I've taped up the entire front area and back area of the iPad, and we've also created a little half-inch MDF thumb pull or finger pull that we're going to be attaching right here on the side with some super glue, so that when we do our fiberglass part, when we pull it off, we'll actually have the ability to pull the iPad out. Now, we went to the store and we just picked up an iPad case. And this is the magnetic case that you can get at any Walmart or anything else like that. So when we start our fiberglassing project, this is fiberglass cloth. This is 6-ounce cloth, so it's pretty thin. And once we do our initial fiberglass, we're going to take and we're going to put our magnet inside the fiberglass attached to the iPad. One thing that I forgot to mention is we'll also be covering this iPad with some suede, with some black suede. And I'm going to actually wrap or glue this material onto the iPad prior to fiberglassing it, so that it actually compensates for the thickness of the suede. Now we're going to add something a little bit extra to this part. You can see that I've created a half-inch piece of MDF. I've rounded it over and I've put in a little rabbeted edge to it. And this rabbeted edge is exactly the same size, or just like the 32nd or or 1/16 inch larger all the way around than my actual radio faceplate. So what I'm going to end up doing is attaching this to the back of our iPad that's all taped up and it's got the suede on it. And I'm going to take some body filler and I'm going to fill in this little gap here. And that's going to help me when I'm applying my fiberglass over this entire piece so that I don't have to get into these sharp contours and worry about the fiberglass actually not fitting in there or not sitting in there. So all in all, this is going to help out in the end when I'm making my, my mold. Basically what we want to do is we want to really take the time at this point and think about how this part is going to end up being finished and what we can do ahead of time to make sure that we can, you know, cut down on the finishing that the inside of the part is going to require once we pull this fiberglass off. So this part is coming along really well, and we're going to continue. Now I've taken an old spreader with a pair of scissors and I've cut it in half. And I've made a custom spreader here that I'm going to set right on the edge that I rabbited into my back piece of MDF here. And you can see that by keeping the spreader straight, it's flush right here along the side or along the back of the iPad. And I can just now take and scrape my body filler all the way down and leave a nice perfect edge. I don't want to have to sand here if I don't have to, so this tool, making this tool with a pair of scissors, is going to save you a whole lot of time. Now we've got our fiberglass, our MEKP, our cup and brush, and we've completed our body filling of our the back of our iPad, and I've covered that with tape. I've also taken some super glue and secured this down to the aluminum foil just temporarily. The great thing about aluminum foil is it rips really easy, so once we lay our fiberglass over here, it dries. Then we can remove this, absolutely no problem. So we're gonna get going. We're giving it a final go over with our brush, and now we are going to take our magnets and put our magnets in place. And then what we can do is, again, just put another layer of fiberglass over this. Now I put in some additional small magnets here on the edges so that we can just add some of that additional support. They're not real thick or real strong magnets, but they will support our iPad a little bit better. So now we can just go ahead and continue fiberglassing. Now we've pulled out our fiberglass insert. We did a little finger fill of body work on the inside. We've cut out our hole for our charging port. And I mean, this thing came out great. I mean, you see the magnets in there, the long magnet back here. This is obviously the cutout for the radio slot. And our iPad fits in here perfectly. You can see the magnet, how strong the magnet is. It's going to hold it without any type of problems or issues. So we're really good to go on this thing. We've also compensated for the thickness of our suede, and when we put suede in here, the fit's going to be even better. But you can see we have a nice uniform, even fit all the way around, and we can now move forward and go back into cutting our panel and making sure our fiberglass insert can fit. Now I went ahead and I cut out the panel of the vehicle so that we can adapt our fiberglass panel directly into it. Of course, I made sure that there was clearance for where the AC controls go, and you could see my line there is pretty close, so I'm going to be able to body work that in and get this looking like it's supposed to be there. One of the extra things that we're going to be doing in this install is this bottom part here. It was fully open. It was for an insert where there was a cigarette lighter and some other stuff. We went ahead and we put in a 1/8 inch piece of acrylic, and we're filling these holes in here with ABS plastic. We're going to body work over it. We're going to be putting a lighted Apple logo here. So I'm going to show you how to do that later. I just went ahead and mounted it all in. So, and really all I did to get this side done and body worked is just took a piece of ABS plastic, traced it out, trimmed it to fit, super glued it, and then body worked it into place. So it's always a good idea to grind the entire panel because we are going to be body working and priming this entire panel. It's just a good idea to go ahead and grind it all. You can see I still have all my mounts that we're going to be using to secure and hold this thing in. Now you might ask yourself, this area here is real flimsy. It is real flimsy. But once we put this fiberglass panel in here and we body work it into place, it's going to make this panel rigid again, and it's not going to break or bend or do anything it shouldn't. So I think we're going to be in good shape overall. So I'm going to get this mounted in here, start the body working process, finish this hole off. We will be putting the cigarette lighter back into one of these slots here, and we're making good progress.
Now let's take a break from the iPad install, head over to the 2013 Spring Break Nationals Car Audio Show and see the Alpine Sinister 6.
We're over here at the Sinister 6. We're going to be talking to Steve Brown in just a minute, and he's going to tell us all about this car. I'm standing here with Steve Brown from Alpine Electronics, builder of the Sinister 6 that's here at this show. Steve, tell us a little bit about the car.
Well, we actually built the car in 2006 for the 2006 CES show. It started life as a BMW 645 CSI, and everything on that car is custom. There's about 3,500 hours of labor in it. There's 4 months of labor between two guys working a lot. Myself and Gary Bell are the two main builders of the car, and we had a great time building it. Probably the most unique feature about it is the seat. The seat rotates 90 degrees, and the top slides back to allow you to get in. And that's really what the whole car was designed around. It was designed to be a cool, custom vehicle that really showed the capability of the Alpine product.
And what type of product does it have in it?
Well, it actually had, at the time we built it, really the best of the best. It had all the Type X speakers, the brand new PDX amplifiers. That was the year that we actually launched the small digital PDX amps in the US, so that's why we wanted to have a vehicle to really show it off, so you see a lot of that in there. It used the VHub Pro, which at the time was our kind of an OEM integration type processor. And we've since updated the car. We've now Bluetooth streaming capabilities in it, so we can stream audio. But it's very well preserved actually. So it's really designed to kind of show it like it used to be.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let me tell you, Alpine has some great product. They've got brand new product for 2013. I definitely recommend checking it out. And this guy is the man. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Ignition, shifter, start, steering. All I need now is the key. Where's the key? I'll just take it for a quick spin.
And now back to the show.
We have our iPad here, and we have a layer of tape wrapped around it, and we went ahead and just put some red suede on it so that we can get the thickness of the suede during this next step. You can see our connector inside here. Our connector is molded in. It's not going anywhere. It is the Apple, standard Apple connector, as we mentioned earlier, and basically it's just attached right to the side panel here of our part. Now we've taken and we've made a little hole here on the edge, and that's for our charging port of our iPad, and we've inserted in, and we are now creating a perfect seam all the way around the iPad. So we'll still be putting our finger hole here. We'll be remaking our finger hole so that we can pull this out. But basically the customer, along with the magnet and the plug the customer will be able to put this in and out with absolutely no problems. This is a real tight fit, and it's taken 3 or 4 fills of Duraglass. You really want to use Duraglass along this edge because it's a much stronger material than body filler, especially on a highly used area. So we're going to bring our suede, our black suede, right up to the edge of the iPad when we're getting ready to finish this. Also, I mean, we are going to be priming this panel, so we're going to have to take steps to make sure that the primer that we put in here, it doesn't affect the overall size of the hole, or else the iPad won't fit in and the paint will chip and all this other stuff. So really what we need to do is make sure that when it's time to prime and even paint, we're going to have this iPad in there, and that way we're sure, we know 100% that it's going to fit. Now you can see our panel has all been primed. Our piece of acrylic down here is, I removed the tape. What we'll be doing is taking and wet sanding this entire panel to make sure it's perfectly flat, and we'll also be getting rid of that little ridge around the taped edge that the primer left. So when we put our Apple sticker there, we'll be able to paint right over that sticker, and once we peel it, it'll be a very thin layer of paint that that you really won't feel when you run your hand across it. Up here at the top, you'll notice that the iPad and the suede that I'm using to properly get clearance around this edge of this panel, I put it in while I primed it. Basically, this is a high build primer, and this high build primer can build up material in areas where you don't want it to be built, and that would allow the iPad not to fit back in correctly. You'll notice one of the other things that we did is we put in a little finger hole here, and we use that with an angle grinder and a round circular bit about the size of a finger. We just set it right inside there and groove that out just big enough to get our finger in. So we're going to be putting, eventually, once we're done painting and clear coating this panel, we're going to be sueding this inside, and then we'll obviously be lighting up this Apple logo. So once we put the iPad in, it's really going to look good when it's all finished. The edges on this thing are just phenomenal. It drops right in. The magnet's going to hold it. Even the we taped up the lightning connector to the 30-pin adapter because you don't want to get any paint in that. So just save yourself some time, throw some paint on it, and that way you'll know that it's going to work when this thing is all completed. When wet sanding anything, you want to get some wet sanding paper. This is 400 grit paper. You also want to round over the corners. And what this will do is this will stop the edge, the sharp edge, from gouging the primer or paint or whatever you're wet sanding. Clean bucket of water, and you're just going to sand the panel. Now, you cannot wet sand a panel with MDF that has wood in it or anything else like that. You will only want to wet sand panels that are obviously metal, fiberglass, plastic, something like that. You don't want to wet sand MDF, certainly, because it'll soak up that water and it will destroy your part. So keep the paper wet. The purpose of the wet sand is to so that the paper doesn't get gummed up with all the particles that you're sanding off. So take your time, make sure you get a good, nice, smooth texture over the entire panel. And if you break through anywhere, you will definitely have to reprime, but it can be a very light coat. It doesn't have to be a heavy one like it was in the previous 2 coats. So we're going to continue on here and get this panel all set up.
Now let's take a break from the iPad install and head over to the 2013 Spring Break Nationals Car Audio Show. We're going to be talking with the president and CEO of Spring Break Nationals, Paul Papadeas.
Today we're at the 27th Annual Spring Break Nationals Car Audio event in Daytona Beach, Florida. This show is dedicated solely to the enthusiasts, to the shop owners, just to the car guys. And let me tell you something, these cars are awesome. Let's go in and check them out. Now I'm standing here with the god of Spring Break Nationals, Paul Papadeas. Paul, tell us a little bit about the show and how well it's doing.
Well, I'll tell you, this year is a pretty strong year. We have great support from competitors, from manufacturers. We're having a great time. A lot of people. It looked like record attendance. I don't know what the numbers are in end, but you know, everybody's having a great time. They're coming in. Basically, we're here to promote the car audio industry. In general, there's a lot of dealers out there, there's manufacturers who make the products that we put in our cars, and it's just a big car audio party.
Well, great. I've been here just about every year since I've been installing or even had a car. And over the years, I've seen it grow and I've seen it shrink. And over the last few years, it's just exploded. Yeah. And I see more dealers, more car audio manufacturers, and everybody just coming together to offer trainings. Is there anything else in the future that you see coming here to maybe improve on something that's perfect as it is?
Well, you know, wearing my industry cap, I'm all about promoting industry and bringing some more education to dealers in training seminars. So we're going to be looking at next year in a different light, because we're right now primarily a consumer show. We do bring in a lot of dealers, those who compete in the pro categories of the sound offs, and dealers who just want to show their stuff. We have several dealers from the surrounding areas on the show floor now. And as technology improves, as you all know, there needs more education to come current with these technologies that actually change every couple of years now. Absolutely. Back in my day, technology was not as intense, and it changed maybe every 8, 9 years, maybe 10 years. Today, to keep up with the high tech in cars, we've got to be on it, and we got to train even the best of installers.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. And let me tell you something, the manufacturers that are not here, they're really missing out, because they see a lot of consumers, absolutely, a lot of end users that come through, and it's really a great show, and I want to thank you for having us out.
I appreciate it. What the other plan for this next year coming in is I'm going to be lobbying industry to climb on board into a more of a mega event that should bring just about every car audio dealer down from the East Coast.
I think that's an excellent thing. It's something that we definitely need, and this has always been a staple for the Southeast.
Well, it's our 27th year.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. Just found 3 guys from the that are going to be graduating from the Installer Institute in a couple weeks. What'd you guys think of the school?
It's amazing.
School's awesome.
What'd you guys learn?
Learned a lot more than I ever knew.
Yeah, a lot more than I was expecting.
You guys got some studying to do, then you're going to go find some jobs and make this a career?
Yeah, I already got job offers lined up.
Excellent.
Go
Awesome.
back to my shop and teach them some new stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Spring Break Nationals is all over. We've seen some awesome cars and met some great people. I'm going to look forward to next year's show. Thanks a lot.
And now back to the show.
Now we've taped off the interior where the iPad is going to lay, and we're getting ready to use some spray adhesive, some contact adhesive. We're going to spray it on both sides, one side of the suede, and then obviously inside the panel where the iPad's going to lay. You have to make sure that this glue sets up and is dry before you actually apply the suede to the panel, and that's the way that you can ensure maximum adhesion. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing sprayed and wait for them to dry. Now we're going to want to remove all of our tape with glue on it. Great thing about this glue is once it's dry, it doesn't stick to any surface that doesn't have glue on it. I'm going to go very slowly, using a little bit of tension just to pull up and make sure that this suede is going to lay down appropriately. No fingers in the material or anything like that. You really want to take your time at this point, because this, after all, is the finished product. Now this is going to look good when it's all finished. We're going to trim this up very lightly. We're going to make sure that all the glue is really stuck good around the edges, because that is the only way we're going to get a nice seam. We can actually feel a ridge where the razor blade is going to ride, which is the top of the iPad. So this is actually going to look good when it's all finished. So we're going to go ahead and get this trimmed up. We're going to be gluing this around from the back side here, and we'll be ready to put this in the car. Now everything is completed with this panel, with the exception of installing it, and the iPad fits great. The suede inside does exactly what it's supposed to do, and I mean, it just fits perfectly. Everything came out great, and this thing is going to look awesome inside the car. So let's go check it out.
Well, that completes the installation. This iPad install came out great. We can control everything directly from the iPad because we're using the GS600R from Sony. Customer is very happy. It's doing everything that he wanted, including giving him Bluetooth hands-free control. We'd like to thank you for watching this episode of the Audio Files, and we look forward to more in the future. We of course need to thank our sponsors: Metro Electronics, Installer Institute, Spring Break Nationals, and Paul Papadeas. We'd also like to give a special shout out and thanks to Steve Brown from Alpine Electronics for showing us the Sinister 6. What an awesome installation. We'd like to thank Kenwood, JL, and JVC. Awesome product. Pleasure meeting you guys. We'll see you soon. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave us your comments or suggestions so you can tell us what you would like to see here on the Audio Files.